say hello to the world's most aerodynamically efficient passenger car. Mercedes-Benz says the drag coefficient for this new sedan version of its 4th generation A-Class is the lowest ever measured for a production passenger vehicle. Which is quite a claim, but you only have to look at this car to see how much work has gone into marrying good looks with slippery aero performance.
Launching with 2 variants, the A200 we're driving today at close to 50k before on-road costs, and an entry-level A180 arriving in just over a month's time at just under $45,000, the A-Class sedan is substantially longer and fractionally taller than its hatchback sibling.
Which translates to an extra 60 litres of cargo space. And to make sure it's as accessible as possible, this aperture has been maximised. It's often a limitation with sedans, the height and width of the boot opening, but this one is frankly enormous. Both models are powered by the same 1.3 litre 4-cylinder turbo petrol engine. The A180 tuned to produce about 100 kilowatts and 200 newton meters of torque. The A200 steps that up to 120 kilowatts and 250 newton meters. Both send drive to the front wheels through a 7-speed dual-clutch automatic transmission. But before we take a look inside, remember, for all the detail on safety tech, standard features and more, you can read my full written review at carsguide.com.au. And if you enjoy the video, make sure to hit subscribe so you can stay on top of all our latest videos. The A-Class sedan driver is presented with the same sleek widescreen display as is found in the hatch. 2 10.25-inch screens joined together with instruments and vehicle data on this side, navigation, media, etc. on this side. And it's worth mentioning that Apple CarPlay and Android Auto are both on board. But the big question is whether or not this car's extra length means more than just extra space in the boot. Is there actually more leg and headroom for passengers in the back seat? Let's find out. Okay, so here we are in the back. And first of all, this seat is set for my position. I'm 183 centimetres tall, and I've got enough knee room there for sure. If I want to stretch up and stretch out, my head will actually hit the roof, but in a typical seating position, it seems to be okay. Like the front, there are cup holders in the back, 2 up the front, and there are 2 here in this fold-down armrest with a very James Bond fold-out mechanism like that. There are also door bins, front and rear, big enough for bottles, and back here as well, adjustable ventilation for the rear passengers, which is always a plus. I think it is possible to put 3 people across here. There's certainly a seatbelt for someone in the centre, but you'd want to be very good friends and it wouldn't be for very long. So it will seat 3, but for 2, it's fine. So we're in the A200 and let's talk about acceleration first of all. And it's pretty good. We're not in performance car territory, don't get me wrong, but we've been out on the open road in rural Victoria today for a couple of hours, and there's enough in reserve for easy overtaking on the highway. You've got maximum torque coming in just a bit above 1600 RPM, so there's plenty low down. That's pretty typical of one of these small turbo engines. So not a powerhouse, but it's certainly not breathless either. It's got plenty to be going on with. The transmission, it's a 7-speed dual clutch, and sometimes you can get a bit of clunkiness with the dual clutch transmissions. Not so in this one. It's been smooth in terms of its changes, doing it itself, switch over to manual, and it's nice and sharp. And even in parking maneuvers, you're not getting any of that clunking, shunting that you sometimes get. It's really pretty impressive. And then in terms of the chassis, the ride comfort is really good. I think a hallmark of a small car that rides well is that it feels bigger than it is, and that's how you feel behind the wheel of this car. as if you're actually driving something with a longer wheelbase. It's very composed. Even over bumps like that one we just hit, it would have been a lot worse in some other cars of this size. So the kind of surfaces we've been on today is a typical Australian rural coarse chip bitumen, and you do get a little bit of raw from the tyres, but overall the noise levels are pretty impressive. It's a quiet car, and we've spent a couple of hours non-stop, and these front seats anyway are super comfortable. Not a twinge, no soreness, no aches, and nicely supportive when you're sweeping through the Benz. So a lot to recommend them as well. I think the thing that impacts the ride quality is the damping. The car is very well damped, so as you're going over undulations, even sharper bumps, it remains stable and composed, which is really nice. The brakes, they've got a really nice progressive feel to them, the pedal. So dynamically, the steering, the car points really well, and really nice surprise is there's a lot of road feel. You're getting a good connection between your hands on the wheel and what the front tyres are doing on the road. I think dynamically, they've done a very good job with this car. In terms of visibility, as is often the case with a sedan compared to its hatch stablemate, the over-the-shoulder vision in this car is really good. I'm not saying the hatch is bad, but it's just that little bit better. And then in terms of fuel economy, we've been on the open road, we've covered several hundred kilometres, and from the dash we've been averaging low 6, something like 6.2, 6.4 litres per 100 kilometres, which is above the combined cycle claim, which sits at about 5.7. So a bit of a miss, but it's still pretty handy fuel economy. Under the heading of random thoughts, I should call out the cruise control. It's such an efficient system in this car. A push of the thumb and you can jump up or down 10 km/h increments, and it retards the car's speed beautifully down hills. It's really great from a safety point of view. And another thing is the steering wheel. It's a nice grippy leather trimmed sports style steering wheel with the racy flat bottom and what have you, but the leather is actually perforated where you're putting your hands, so when you're behind the wheel for long periods, that really helps you stay kind of relaxed and comfortable. Mercedes-Benz knows its way around a sedan, and this A-Class is a well-equipped, comfortable and efficient city-sized four-door. But more than that, it's a classic example of restrained form meeting aero function with beautiful results. Tschüss!